Hello, PAC members, and welcome to our January PAC event. I'm Jocelyn Yarian. I am one of the project managers here at Texas A&M with the Dog Aging Project. And we have a few announcements before we get started, and also a quick note. So today's event has been pre-recorded. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can always email our team@dogagingproject.org, and we will answer any questions you have. And let's get into the announcements. So really quick, I'm going to share my screen. Let me get to it. Da, 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 da. So first off, um, if you may have seen this already on our social media, we also have this on our media page, but our triad team we're so proud. It's a big accomplishment. We got funding for our clinical trial triad. So what does this mean? This means we need your help to help spread the word. We really want to fill up our enrollment. Our goal is to have 580 dogs. So help spread the word. You can go to our project resources page, which is under media. You click right here, project resources. And here we have a lot of flyers, social media posts, if you can share. So make sure to check it out and download it. If you do a social media post, you can click on it and then you hit right click to save the image. Now, another thing to look forward to. Now, if you keep going on this page, we have another resource. We shared this resource before for those who are new. Go to our under project resources right here under project background. We have our DAP Pack annual task calendar. Now, this calendar you can download and print. It's a one-pager, and it gives you an overview of what's coming for the year. So coming February, just a quick reminder, we have our 1, 2, 3 treat activity. So you will get that in your personal portal, and you will also get an email reminder. And if you can't participate this year, that's okay. You can always opt out. But if you do participate, please take pictures and tag us on social media. We are on all the platforms. And speaking of platforms, we have one new, if you haven't seen already, we are now on Blue Sky. So make sure to go follow us if you haven't already on Blue Sky. And then our last announcement is we have a new position available for those who live in the College Station area. It's called our Senior Administration Coordinator position. So if you live in the area, want to work with us, please apply. And it is on site. For more information, of course, you can go to the job listing, which is also on our career page. So now let's get into the main event, our PAC event. So today's PAC event, we have a very special guest. Joining us today, of course, is going to be Harmony Deers, our amazing project manager, who's going to interview our hero dog and handler, Sergeant David Rowland. So what's so amazing about them is that they got the 2024 American Humane Hero Dog Award. And really quick, if you don't know what that means, the American Humane Hero Dog Awards is an inspiring annual event celebrating the human-animal bond and honors courageous canines who have demonstrated extraordinary bravery, loyalty, and service. From search and rescue heroes to therapy dogs bringing comfort, each nominee showcases the profound impact dogs have on our lives. Competition highlights their stories, raises awareness for animal welfare, and inspires communities to support the human-animal bond, which we're all about, the animal-human bond. So to learn more about this, let's welcome Harmony and Sergeant David Rowland.
Hello, PAC members. I'm Harmony Deers, the Communications Manager for the Dog Aging Project, and I'm very excited to introduce a very special guest to all of you today. This is Sergeant David Rowland with the Gastonia Police Department in North Carolina. Hello, sir.
Hey, how are y'all?
Thank you. We're good and very happy to have you here. Sergeant Rowland is joining us today. He is a canine officer and he works closely with an amazing bloodhound named Bo. And Bo and Sergeant Rowland were the award winners for the American Humane Hero Dog Award for 2024. Amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And so just a brief background I'll share on what I understand about the American Humane Hero Dog Awards. These are awards that are for dogs in many different categories, and they come from a law enforcement or first responder background. They can be therapy dogs, service or guide dogs, military dogs, and some amazing shelter dogs have won in the past. But this year, the very deserving winner was Bo.
Yeah.
And I want, is Bo hanging out in your back seat there, officer?
Yeah, he's actually back here snoring right now.
Well, let him let him rest. That's
Yeah.
fine. Well, Sergeant Rowland, just quickly, we would love to get to know you and Bo a little bit better. We know obviously he and you have demonstrated some amazing bravery, loyalty, and service, and that's why you're here today, sharing the spotlight with Bo.
Yeah.
So how did you start your career in law enforcement?
So actually, I had no aspirations to be a police officer. That wasn't even on my radar. I was in my junior year of college, getting my degree in marketing and advertising. And I
Okay.
just happened to have a friend of my girlfriend at the time, now wife, and her dad was a police officer here in the county I grew up in, and just talking, and he just invited me to come do a ride along, and I did a ride along, and the next thing I know, I was hooked. Just the excitement, it was like nothing else I had ever been a part of, and I changed my major, and the next thing I know, 2000 January of 2009, I'm hired and working for the Gastonia City Police Department. So
Incredible.
yeah. So I joined the police department in January. Went through training, got on my own, and really not sure what I really wanted to do at the police department. I was involved in our tactical team. I was a part of the sniper team. I was a training officer. I just really didn't know where I wanted to go. And being part of the tactical team, I did a lot of running cover for our canines as they track criminals, missing persons, you name it, they're tracking it. I ran cover or protection for the handler, because the handler, while they're tracking, is solely focused on the dog. They're not looking at anything. They're doing something that we call tunnel vision, where you're focused on a single point. And so you have officers that track with you to protect you, and watch for anything ahead or left or right or something that you've may have missed. So I did a lot of that, and really just fell in love with not only the idea that I would get to come to work with my best friend and I got to take him home with me at the end of the day, but just everything that the dog and the handler got to be a part of. It was really cool, and just a very unique experience in law enforcement. Like I said, it's a small group in a department. 190 officers. There's only 6 canine handlers. So it's a very small group, and only a few people get to experience that. So next thing I know, there was a spot open. I put in for it, and I win. So I get my first dog, which was a Colt. He's still alive. Knock on wood, he's still alive. He's a 14-year-old German Shepherd. He'll be 15, if you
Oh,
believe that, in April, which is insane for a purebred German Shepherd,
incredible.
especially a working dog. So I had Colt, and I worked Colt until he retired. That was 2014 when we started, and he retired at the end of 2019. And I had aspirations to become a sergeant, and I didn't want to get another dog and potentially have to leave that dog behind. You bond with these animals; they become, their family. So didn't want to have to potentially leave that dog behind. So I focused on getting promoted. I put in for our sergeant's assessment and got lucky. And out of 30 people, I placed first on the sergeant's assessment. And so I was promoted very quickly back in 2021, and got sergeant. And within 8 months, I had already got a tap from our administrators to let me know that our canine sergeant at the time, Thomas Dovey, was retiring, and they would like me to take over the unit once he goes. And so while I was, doing that, and learning the ropes of, how to be the canine sergeant and all the ins and outs of that paperwork, the idea came up of giving the sergeant over the unit a dog. And they were
Ah,
really worried. Yeah, they were really worried about giving that dog, the sergeant, a apprehension dog, just because of liability, and it's a lot of training that you have to do. We are required by case law to do 16 hours of structured training a month. That's all law enforcement dogs, whether they're evidence dogs, decomp dogs, anything that has to do with law enforcement. To be deemed reliable through the case laws, we have to give at least 16 hours. And with apprehension dogs, it even talks about even past that 16 hours, you need to do supplemental training, which is what you would do on duty. And as a sergeant, to do that supplemental training, it's really far-fetched and really hard to do that because I have so much other responsibilities. Like what I'm doing right now, I'm out supervising other officers right now. So it's really hard to do stuff like that as a supervisor. So we have some friends in York County, South Carolina, and they have their sheriff's office has probably the best bloodhound program on the East Coast. They do their own breeding program, and they are really top notch about everything that they do. And they brought up the idea, hey, why don't you get a pup from us? We're about to breed one of our dogs, and we'll give you a pup. You know, it started from there, and we started looking and looking and looking, and next thing we know, the chiefs and everybody were like, yeah, we're good with it. We're down to give you guys a bloodhound. But that fell through. Unfortunately, that dog that they were going to breed was just too old, and it just didn't really work out. So once again, York County came into the rescue and pointed us in the direction of a place in Florida as a foundation that was bred completely out of tragedy. Very horrific story, but it's called the Jimmy Rice Foundation, and they give funds to purchase bloodhounds, specifically bloodhounds for law enforcement agencies or government agencies for the sole purpose of help find missing children in the nation. So we started speaking with them, and the next thing I know, very quickly, they're like, yep, we'd love to give you the money. We'd love to buy you a dog. And they got us up with their breeder that was out of Kentucky. It was a bluegrass bloodhounds out of Letchville, Kentucky. Spoke with the lady there that runs it named Judy. She was very helpful, very knowledgeable, taught us a lot of stuff, and told us that she's got pups. And she had one boy who was a big boy, and that was Bo. And we went up in April of 2023 and got Bo, and brought him back the next day and started training immediately. And by October, we got certified, and Bo hit the road and has been extremely successful in our community.
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, thank you for making the time to speak with us. I know you obviously have a very serious situation going on there.
Yeah.
You have answered so many of my curiosities. One thing I would love to learn about and for our pack members to learn more about, can you share a little bit about what Bo's training program was like from,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
him as a puppy and now he's
Right.
what, just under 2 years old?
Yeah, he'll be 2 next month. Actually, yeah,
Okay.
the December the 15th is his birthday. Or not, sorry.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, February the 15th is his birthday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Coming up.
literally, yeah, it's right around the corner. He'll be 2 years old. So yeah, bloodhounds, their training is a little bit different than what you would see with our shepherds and our Malinois and stuff like that. Just because a big thing is these German shepherds and stuff, they're extremely intelligent animals. They're highly intelligent. They're awesome to they're great problem solvers, and you can just see them work. And so we can really follow not necessarily a program, because every dog's different and every dog needs a little bit of different ways of training it. Like they might struggle in one thing and excel at the other. So it's not structured as in like you're open a textbook and you can teach your dog, but it's more they're able to follow a guided book and use those scenarios and those factors to train those dogs. With Bo, it's different in the fact that bloodhounds specifically bred for the sole purpose of tracking and hunting. Everything about Bo is about tracking. His ears, they help, but when they drag across the ground, that kicks up scent. His folds trap the scent. Like everything about him is made for it. And because of that, that means he's just genetically inept to do that. When we start with these puppies, all we're doing is kind of pushing them in the right direction. They know what they're going to do eventually. Like if I would leave Bo completely untrained, he would use his nose and he would track, but we are giving him a task. And that task is to find the scent that we show them in front of them. And so you start that at a very young age of just playing chase and introducing the idea that if I chase this, I get a reward. And so it normally just starts very short, 10, 15 feet. You'll have a decoy or a person that has the reward run from Bo, and Bo chases them. And then once and they stop, and Bo would get their treat. And then that eventually just progresses further and further and further until eventually you would hold the dog back, let the decoy run, and then the decoy would hide, 20, 30 feet behind the tree. The dog would run towards the tree and it'd get close to the tree, and it would start to try to problem solve, like, well, I can't see the decoy anymore. What do I do? And eventually, after a couple of tries, the dog on its own will put its nose down and say, let me see if I can smell him. And so once we
Okay.
get to that stage and he's putting his nose down and getting around that tree to get his treat, we then start extending that distance of the unknown. So the decoy would run behind a building and then run 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 feet into some type of concealment. And then the dog would have to come around the corner of the building, put his nose down, and track further and further and further. And then once we get to a point to where we're limited by how big of structures we could find, just different environments, because every environment's going to be different, we then completely take out the chase. So the dog is brought to a scene to where normally he would see the decoy take off running, to now the decoy's already ran and hid. And so we would take him there and put him on the ground at the last point of contact. What we would, for a missing person or a suspect, that's what we call it, last point of contact.
Okay.
And we would give him the track command. And the track command in Bo's instance is just find that man. And that's something that you instill at a very, very young age. So when we're playing chase, I'm in a very playful voice telling Bo to find that man over and over and over as we're chasing these people. And eventually
It's
Bo,
fun and positive.
yes. So eventually we give that command. Bo will then track, not a very long distance, maybe 30 feet in total, will track to the hidden decoy and get a reward. And he gets a big, big reward at that point to let him know that, hey, this is what we want you to do. This entire time is what we've been trying to get you to do. So gets a lot of praise, a lot of verbal affirmation, a lot of loving. Everything's animated, everything's very exciting. And then we just start extending that even further. So now, and then eventually get to the point to where the track is about a mile and a half long, and now we're waiting 72 minutes before we introduce Bo to that scent, meaning that scent has been sitting there for 72 minutes. So it's a lot harder for Bo. He's going to have to concentrate, and he can't run wild and crazy like he was when he was a puppy. But he's actually got to work for this.
Dispatch has been updated.
And literally that, I mean, through that process of trial and error, of getting ahead 3 or 4 steps and then coming back 3 or 4 steps, you get to the point where you're able to certify him. And Bo's certification was a mile and a half long track that was 72 minutes old, and that's what he got certified.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. So you get him at 8 weeks old. How old was he when he became certified?
About 8 months, old, which is
Oh,
great, because you look at your
oh
German
wow.
Shepherd, your German Shepherds and your Malinois. Those dogs are normally not getting certified or anything until they're about a year and a half to 2 years old, because it just takes a lot more for those dogs to mature, because you're asking a lot more of them, a lot more dangerous stuff, and you're asking them to be extremely obedient.
Dispatch has been updated.
Okay. Okay, so that's incredible to learn how you just essentially mold that innate ability and just add in focus and repetition and praise to create this incredible animal that assists you in the community.
Yeah.
I'm on the edge of my seat. This is really all incredible. You mentioned that he lives at home with your family. That's great. So he essentially works the same shifts you do. And when he goes home, is he off duty? Can he just behave like a normal couch dog, or do you have to continue some sort of regimen with him?
Right. So no, he's not necessarily a house dog, because you have to think these are working dogs. And even though he's big and goofy, and very playful, he has to keep a certain standard, and
Okay.
basically he gets loving at home. He gets played with by my children. He is a family pet at home, but
Right.
there's limitations to where I still have to keep structure with him. That way, when I get to work, I'm just a family pet, right? Not until he gets old enough to where we call them on and off switches. If he gets to a point to where I can see the on off switch when he comes to work, I know 100% he's in it to win it. And I'm not having to dial him back in when I first get to work to let him know, hey, I need you to be serious. We're going to go do a track now. Then you could be a little bit more lenient. And that's a lot easier with the German Shepherds and those dogs, because again, they're extremely intelligent and it's very easy to read those dogs. Bo's a big goofball. All these bloodhounds are big goofballs, and they're like that a lot of the time. And even when they're tracking, they look extremely funny when they're tracking because they got all these folds and they're jiggling around and stuff, and their tails are wagging and they're all over the place because they're extremely excited because they're doing what they were bred to do, and so they love it.
Yeah. So you read it all over their body. Their body language is very happy. They're doing what they live for. That's incredible. You mentioned that Bo is still very young. He's early in his career. There's structure that has to remain when he's off duty, and that's not uncommon with the hound breed. I very much love working dogs. I've had 3 in my family that were retired. Currently a yellow lab from the Air Force and a black and tan coonhound. So I have a connection to your knowledge of hound behavior, though I'm an owner and she's a pet. But she started out as a coonhound that was going to be working in at Huntsville Prison in Central Texas. She went into a training program and she didn't make the cut. And so I was able to adopt her. And the longer that I know Lady Bird, the more I understand why she didn't quite make that cut, because she
is that a King of the Hill reference?
She's a goofball. It is, absolutely. Yeah. But we love her, but I can understand that hound personality. But I know Bo is the ultimate professional. Sergeant Rowland, before we let you go today, if you still have time, could you highlight a couple of Bo's big cases and searches for us?
Yeah. So just a small tidbit there about Ladybird. My wife, when I first told her that we were getting a bloodhound, she thought she was getting a ladybird, like this lazy dog lays around and is just like a fat house cat almost, but a dog bird.
Right.
And that is not what we got. And she was so upset about it. She's like, I thought this was Ladybird. No, but that's awesome. I'll have to tell her your dog's name is Ladybird. But
I can always let her borrow a really relaxed couch bound ladybird. It would be her dream.
So right after Bo got certified, maybe 2 weeks in, we got our first call off duty, and it was for an 11-year-old autistic child. They had an episode and ran away. Bo was called to the scene, given a pillowcase, and was introduced to his scent. And like I said, that's one of the unique things about bloodhounds is they're one of the only breeds that can really do scent specific tracking versus just regular tracking off a fresh scent. So Bo's able to discriminate. Bo's able to discriminate against that very easily. So he ends up coming out and introduced to the scent, and he was successfully able to push through the neighborhood that we were in and locate the child that was ended up hiding behind some Halloween decorations. So that was one of his first successful tracks. So it was a big deal for me, and it sticks out for me because it was like, hey, what we did worked.
Absolutely.
And then several weeks after that, we got a call for a guy that has dementia, and he's in one of those memory facilities that you hear about. We have one here locally. He ended up getting out of the facility and got away. Once again, Bo was introduced to a scent specific item, and was able to track and locate him a couple blocks away, right off of the major highway too, which was pretty impressive because Bo again at this point is still a puppy and he's very timid. And so you have tractor trailers going down this major highway, which is US 321. And I don't know if any of your people listening know what a Jake brake is, but trucks can brake their vehicles with their engine, and it's very loud when they do it. And these trucks are using their Jake brakes, and it's very loud, but Bo was extremely focused on his task at hand. So I was very impressed with that, just showing that he's not a coward when it comes to doing his job. So he did a really good job with that. Several weeks after that, we ended up getting another missing person. He was able to successfully track that person too. And then we got our first criminal track, which was a robbery. Two guys ended up robbing the I can't remember. I think it's Uber Eats is the name of the
Oh,
delivery service. Um, they end up robbing the Uber Eats guy and take off running into a very crowded neighborhood. And when I mean crowded, I mean crowded. When we get to the scene, it's 45 minutes after the fact. It was a very busy day, and our normal
oh,
patrol dog that tracks for us, because again, we're a specialty tool. Bo is, he's made for a specific thing. And so normally our patrol dog would run a lot of our criminal tracks, just the simple fact that that dog can handle itself in bad situations, where I'm having to handle things for Bo because he's not a bite dog. He's just going to lick you. Um, so we get there 45 minutes after the fact, and there's a school bus dropping off about 30 kids. There's a mail truck delivering mail. There's everybody and their mamas outside getting their kids, walking in and out of their houses, getting their mail. UPS is there dropping off packages. And it's a very small 2-lane road, maybe even a lane and a half road. It's very small. And we literally start on the other end of it, and we have to work all the way down this whole block where all these people are. So we have no scent item. I just have the last point that this person ran that nobody else has been in. So I casted Bo.
oh, wow.
Yeah, so I casted Bo. He was able to pick up on that unique odor. And we start tracking. We track through the school kids. We track through the male people, track through everybody's front yard. We go down to the main intersection there, make a right, run down the sidewalk, go in behind some random person's house, through the woods, out onto another street. And then we're able to track through a small block party that they were having, some family reunion, track through it. And they saw the suspects, like, yeah, y'all, we saw them run up here and cut the corner, and went, cut the corner, went 2 houses down, and Bo went to the front door and jumped on up on the door, put his paws on the front door, and just was giving me indication that he wanted on the other side of this door. He was trying to figure out, he couldn't figure it out. So I was like, let's knock this door. And we knocked the door, and sure enough, that was our house. There were our suspects, and they had all the property, everything. So it
Oh,
was amazing watching him work through all that odor contamination, where as a person that's worked a normal patrol dog, that would have been horrific for me to get through with my German Shepherd. So when I did that,
right.
that's when I knew that Bo was something special. Like when that was my first thing where I physically felt it, where I'm like, yeah, this is something really cool and unique. And so from there, Bo tracked his longest track for the moment. A guy got out 14 hours prior, so the odor was 14 hours old. Got out of the same memory facility, got out of it, and ended up walking 2 towns over. We didn't know that.
Oh, my.
And we ended up tracking for like 4 miles in the city. And we ended up getting a phone call from somebody that saw him in the town in the middle, saw him about 5 hours ago out in front of one of the car dealerships. And so we go, that witness tells us where they saw him at. I put Bo on the ground. Bo picks it up and tracks. We track into the next town, track about 1.5 miles, track into the next town to a shopping center, to a food line, or sorry, a bilo, and track up to a park bench. And there's our guy sitting on a little park bench out in front of the bilo. And Bo found him. And that was really, really cool. Just the odor being that old. And the guy was of sound mind. He just didn't want to be in the facility anymore, and told us that. He's like, and I asked him, I said, where did you go in the city? And everywhere he was turning, Bo was successfully tracking him, this 14-hour-old scent. So it was just awesome that Bo was able to, yeah, it was just really cool. I was so excited just, that he was doing everything that we've trained for, and, was worth every penny that, the city and us have spent on training and the hours and everything that we've done. It was just really cool.
Oh my, that is an extraordinary story. Now, you tracked for 7 miles in 4 hours. There were no stops in the
No,
middle of this search. I'm assuming you can't. You just have
no.
to.
I'd say and what was bad about it is we had drones. Hang on a second. 10-4. All right, sorry. So I'm gonna try to pick up where I left off. So what was the question
Dispatch
again?
has been
I'm
updated.
so sorry.
Well, no, I was just, you were explaining the distance, the miles, the hours
Yes,
that
yes,
you
yes,
two
yes,
were
yeah.
tracking, and there's no stopping, there's no water
No.
breaks, there's just focus and a mission at hand.
Yeah. So yeah, we couldn't really stop. So basically, so so to answer your question about the stopping and stuff, we when we're tracking, basically we're tracking and then we would run out of it or run into an issue, especially these large intersections. So one of the areas that we were tracking on was US Highway 74, and another major highway. And so I've got cars galore coming and going, and we've crossed this street several times. So you think about odor as like, smoke, right? A car that is got a lot of smoke billowing out of it, right? They got too much oil going on. So there's a lot of smoke coming out of the tailpipe. Imagine that as odor. So when other cars are coming and going, you'll see that smoke start whirlwinding, right? And going with the flow of traffic. And so when you have traffic going back and forth the opposite ways, that odor is getting spread everywhere. So that's
Okay.
what we're having to fight against. So Bo would have calm odor with no vehicle traffic or anything like that. He would track to this major intersection. He's having to work real hard to figure out if the guy went left on the highway, right on the highway, or if he crossed the highway. So so that's the major thing that we're working against, and that's where the time got added into it. So we would track real hot and heavy, real hard. We're in a sprint, and then we would get to these major intersections, and we're having to stop and focus and let Bo do his thing and have patience. And eventually he'd pick it back up, and again, we're 100 miles an hour back off at it again. And so, and that's what it was for 4 hours. It was a lot of concentration. We're exhausted. We had drones with us at the time. But again, 4 hours, all of our drones went down because the batteries were gone.
Dispatch has been updated.
And so it was really just my team and the dog. And that was it. We were completely relying on his nose.
There's someone, I think, at your window.
Doing an interview. What's up?
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Another interview?
Hi.
They want to talk to him.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Put Bo on the phone.
Yeah.
He's taking a nap.
Well, they were saying there's somebody knocking on your window. So
Dude, nobody came and did your makeup first or anything like that?
this is what I have to. This is what I work with. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. But yeah. So
No, you're on the job.
so really, like I can honestly say this: without Bo, without his nose and his ability, his unique ability, because we couldn't have done that with the German Shepherd. It's just not possible. Like the amount of contamination after 4 hours, because they had been sitting there for that long. Like they never stopped. Where we're having to run into these issues, and we're having to stop and work through it.
Wow. Well, just on behalf of me and my team and these participants that are watching this pack event today, we want to thank you. And why it was so important to me to meet you and get to have this discussion with you. Every day you and Bo and your colleagues, everyone in the field that you're in, you're both out risking your life for our communities every day. You're reuniting families. You're keeping us safe. And you're doing that through not only skills and training, but a love, a human and dog bond that you have with Bo. And, we just believe that's something that we need to bring more awareness and appreciation to. And Bo certainly has, and you, such an amazing story. We're so excited to be able to learn more today. The Dog Aging Project, we have 50,000 dogs enrolled, and we are still enrolling, and we appreciate enrolling dogs from such diverse backgrounds because we're learning about the health of these dogs year after year. Well, we need to learn about a large pool, a large variation of dogs to truly have an understanding of health, wellness, and longevity in dogs, which is what our project is trying to extend, the healthy life of dogs. And just to bring focus to, we have other working dogs in our population, but if this story can reach another officer who he or she owns or gets to take their dog home and
Yeah.
one day gets to adopt them. We want to learn more about that community of owners and companions and working dogs as well. So
Has
we
been
just
up-
cannot thank you enough. We want to wish you again congratulations for the 2024 American Humane Hero Dog Award for both you and
Thank
Bo.
you
I'm
so much.
sorry you
Yeah.
couldn't make a cameo today, but I saw him stirring around back there, but we send
Yeah.
him love.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Thank you
and
so
we
much
wish
for having us. Yeah.
well, please continued success, safety, and obviously keep up the good work. And maybe we can circle back and see
Yes,
what
ma'am. Yeah.
other adventures we can learn about in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm here for you. Just let me know.
Okay, all right, Sergeant Rowland. Thank you, and thank you to Bo, and we'll be in touch.
Sounds good. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Harmony, and thank you, Sergeant David Rowland. We appreciate you being on our today's PAC event. This concludes today's PAC event. Again, if you have any questions, you can email our team at team@dogagingproject.org, and then you can always find us on social media. So thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for the next event. Bye, guys.